May 29, from the city of the brotherly love, Philadelphia, in the suburb of Norristown, here in the studios of Revarte. And today we have a commentary. Today we have a commentary that I want to address two topics very quickly. Two topics. First one, the opening of the database facilities that MPL Ventures wants to open in the region of Upper Merion, and how this can affect MLP Ventures. I say MPL. MLP Ventures wants to open in Upper Merion. And I will refer to an article of a friend and colleague, Rachel Ravine, from The Reporter. She brought a fantastic column that was published today, and that I had the opportunity to read, but also to interact with her briefly, because I had some questions, and she did a fantastic job with this, but allow us to continue researching on the issue. Therefore, I send greetings to Rachel. Now, the first thing that I want to say, it has to do that MLP Ventures presented this past Wednesday in the Upper Merion Township a presentation of the facilities that they want to open. It's a facility of 4.6 million square feet. This is a massive facility near of the area of Conshohocken, not far from where is Home Depot and IKEA, all this industrial area. Yeah, but this considered still King of Prussia municipality. And the thing is that this might be part of the 4,000 data centers that, according to the Pew Research Center, wants to be open across the U.S. This week, actually, I share also another article in my Facebook page regarding this issue and the impact that facilities like this can have. Therefore, I want to share to you that the idea is that this building had the idea to be established near to the Schuylkill River, which we know is a river in which hundreds of communities depend. We depend on that water, and it's scary to see the ecological impact of these facilities. Now we know that AI centers will have to grow if we want. That's right. If the trend of the world continues on AI, we know that factories, bureaucracy, public services, universities, schools will start to depend more and more on data centers. And sometimes I ask myself, is this really something that the humanity needs to survive? I don't think so. In any case, data centers are practically controlling many aspects of humanity today, at least of the industrialized countries. Now, let me tell you what is part of the impact that these centers has. For example, the massive and growing energy demand. Data centers are resource revenues, with a conventional center drawing as much electricity as 10,000 to 20,000 households. Therefore, a data center consumes, depending on the size, the same size of 10,000 houses or 25,000 houses per day, depending on the size of the facility. These facilities use tremendous amount of energy using fossil fuels. Therefore, raise the pollution of the area in a tremendous way, and of course affects the global warming and the quality of the air nearby. Therefore, it is expected that they will increase the cost of public health, because at the end of the day, that's the air that we breathe. That's why I say, do we really need as a humanity this kind of centers? That is a very quick question. I don't think so. Humans, we have survived life without this kind of centers. But as I understand, industrialization today depends on AI. Industrial countries that depends on AI. Intelligence depends on AI. Therefore, it's something that I don't think that we will be able to slow down, as every sector in the life of this country is more and more attached to the centers. The problem is how these centers are produced now. Therefore, air pollution, increase in public health situations, the health cost, but something very concerning has to do with the water consumption and scarcity. The consumption of these AI centers go from 300,000 gallons of water daily. 300,000 of gallons of water daily. Bigger facilities can consume up to 5 million of gallons daily, every day. The risk to dry the land around, the risk to consume the water around that sustain the life around is in crisis, because to have this facility nearby the Schuylkill River, I am not completely sure, and I have not seen the ecological impact that this facility will have in the region, especially on the water, on the river, and yes, on the air. I will invite in the month of July a scientist friend of mine to share to us about the impact that this might have into the water quality, but also into the amount of water that is taken from the earth, from the aquifers, or from the river, and at the same time, the impact in the towns around. Therefore, this is a story that we will continue paying attention. Now, Revarte, this summer, we will start to work around new ideas for the Revarte Media, which is the media arm of Secate, that will allow us to inform the community about these situations, and will develop some deep research on the issue. The second topic that I want to address in a couple minutes, it has to do with the school district of Norristown. As you have read this week in the Philadelphia Inquirer, the DEI office, the DEI position has been shut down until the end of the month of June. Mr. Willis, who is the Officer of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion and Belonging, is ending his job, and the replacement is a new position that I showed last week is equal to very much to a CEO, to an academic officer in charter schools. Therefore, my big question to the current board was, why in the searching of the new superintendent you are shutting down positions and you are opening new positions and don't letting the new superintendent to have the hands to start to work the school district? You are tying the hands, in other words, of the new superintendent. No answer, no transparency, and by the way, that was the phrase that this past Wednesday was more listened for those who were in that session. In my notes, I put always, when someone says there is no transparency how they fire the football coach, no transparency how they are supporting athletes, no transparency how they have been taking many of the decisions, or taking decisions and half informing or informing very late. Like, for example, when they decide not to renew the superintendent, that was the very first meeting, and they never informed to the community. They informed after that, and after that they wanted or opinion for the new superintendent, but it was a very shady process, very fast-track process. The results were presented in a fast-track fashion. There was not really time to analyze the answers. And now in the searching process, it has become, as we say, very shady. In one of the situations, one of the citizens, one of the residents asked for the information in how it's going, the searching. And I remember 2 weeks ago, they were very dismissive the way they say, well, we put it on the website. What they didn't say is that it was recently put in the website, practically blaming the resident of not getting the information. They like the word proactive, but they are not proactive in their communication. Therefore, this current school board has been taking decisions, but one central question for this current board, it has to do with the tax abatement. We remember that this was actually the crucial point that the past board was not supported because they rejected tax abatement. And this is a topic that we will follow in coming weeks. Chris Jaramillo, Tessie Ruiz, Melissa Nova didn't support the tax abatement, and that was the central reason why they were not back up and why practically they would replace for the new board members that practically has trying to make the case about why the tax abatement is good. Well, we know one thing about tax abatements. Tax abatements open the doors to developers not to pay full taxes for 10 years, but yet it is expected that the local residents pay full taxes every year. Therefore, somehow, well, this is a corporate welfare. The working class paying the taxes that will allow the corporate welfare or the corporations not to pay full taxes. Yes, this is what we call corporate welfare. And at the same time, just to let you know, their taxes will just increase here by this school board passing the new budget. And in the moment when we have a crisis, we have inflation, therefore it is expected that the rents will increase because the taxes will just increase. In a town like Norristown, where 62% of the people rent the houses, is really a population at risk. It's a vulnerable population. Why? Because it's well known that tax abatements is opening the door, always is the first step for gentrification and displacement, especially in a town like Norristown where 62% of the people are not owners. Therefore, it's very easy then for these developers to come and take the buildings, displace the families, make and increase the price of the housing, and these families never been able to come back. Therefore, we know that tax abatements in the country has been the method with a beautiful word of revitalization. But let me tell you something. What I have seen in my years in the United States is that revitalization happens with the people that revitalize townships opening small businesses. We have seen it here in Norristown through all the Marshall Street and Main Street, how the businesses of the immigrant community has revitalized the economy. They are paying taxes, they are increasing the value of the properties, they are increasing the value of the town through their creativity and through their entrepreneurship. Why multi-billionaire or multi-millionaire people want tax abatements and forgiveness of taxes when the same forgiveness is not given to the locals that with their creativity they have opened businesses and created jobs and revitalizing. Therefore, to think that these measures like the LERTA are revitalizing, well, no, it's gentrification and displacement, and we will discuss this in depth. It's not a one segment, but this is something that we have to reflect in coming weeks. Well, having said that, during this month of June, expect some research from Revarte that will make some publications addressing these issues. and informing you, because these are two topics that we had to pay attention. On one hand, to see how the data center is going and how the community is resisting to the opening of this data center, and second, what is happening in the Norristown area school district, and at the bottom line, what will happen with the tax abatement. Thank you so much. Until the next week, this was your friend Obed Arango. You are in Dialogos of the Immigrant Village, from the city of the brotherly love, Philadelphia, in the suburb of Norristown,